Hey everybody. Hey buddy. How you
Hey,
doing?
buddy. You
How
hear
you
me?
doing? You doing good?
Oh, dropping stuff.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Palm Bay Live. This is our first primetime interview, and with me tonight is none other than Councilman Brian Anderson.
How are you, sir?
Good, good, good. It's good to have you on, and you delivered some sobering news tonight, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I would like to delve in some city issues to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on in and around your community. And so, so I prepared some questions for you, and I kind of give you some hints as to what I was going to ask you tonight. Um, for those who are not aware, Palm Bay Live is a new news medium, by the way. I just started this several couple months ago, and I am actively looking to make this a news medium for Palm Bay. It's an area where you can come and read news, have live interviews, and unfiltered. And pretty much what is going to happen is I will leave it up to the audience to decipher what the message should be. So it would not be opinionated. It will not be controversial. It will be topics that is geared towards promoting Palm Bay. And so that's pretty much the medium that I'm looking to deliver for the citizens of Palm Bay, and that's why I'm doing it. I got involved with the city about a year, 2 years ago, Brian, I think it was.
Yeah.
About the city with the roads project, and as many of you seen now that we have the roads are in full swing, and in partially and no because of me and what I did, and Mr. Brian here, who helped push it over the milestone by delivering speeches at different forums, and we had a slew of community and people like Carmen Vital and um, Glenda and Mr. Thomas Guam and all those folks who came on board and helped push this to the limit to make sure we got our roads. And so I decided to take this to another avenue to try to help our community strive and strive better. And so with Palm Bay Live, it's going to be a nonprofit where we have a 501c application pending with IRS. So that all of that stuff is in full swing. And we're going to be aimed to make it a citywide effort to make sure we deliver to you news that is unfiltered, and you can pretty much, make up your mind on what you think you should absorb as far as news is concerned. And that's where we at with it, the project. And so just kind of give you guys an update of where we at. And so with that said, let's get into the interview because I know it's late and Brian has to go to work tomorrow. So let's get into it. So Brian, get us up to date on the first thing, of course, I'm going to touch on is the road project, because that's dear to my heart. So tell the citizens of Palm Bay where we are currently with the roads.
So we're just actually wrapping up year one. So the last several projects of year one came out. It was 11, 18, 15, 23, and I think 42 was in there as well as Garvey Road was approved. And that is actually coming up. They should be starting work on that. And if you've ever driven down Garvey Road, it needs to be done very badly. So the big thing, and you and I talked about this, I know Thomas Gomez talked about it, Ron Lockwood, Kevin, Carmen Vitale, Glenda, everybody that was involved talked about trying to get as much money as we could out of the bond, try to get the roads done for not cheaply, but as efficiently and as effectively as we could with costs being reasonable. So this last set of bids, I believe it was about $3 to $5 million under budget. I think it was $3 million. And in totality, we were about $10 million under what we thought the budget would be. The engineer's estimate was $46 million for year one. The revised estimate was $40 million. The actual cost was $30 million. So as you had spoke, as Thomas Gomez spoke, as I had spoke, we thought we could get the roads a lot cheaper than what the projections were. And it turns out that that is the case. So we're very happy about that. If you drive down to Groot, you'll see that they're doing the final striping in unit 31, 32, the crosswalks, the center lanes and stuff like that. So those units are complete. They're doing the punch out things, and you'll start to see work going on in the units I just mentioned, 11, 18, 15, 23, 42, and Garvey Road. I have been getting a ton of emails and questions about 24 and 25. Those pipes were approved. Of course, we do the pipes before we do the roads. Those pipes are approved. It should be going in. You should be seeing staging if you live in that area. The big complaint I get is Reading and Pagio, and those are coming up. They are already approved. The bridge at, I believe it's Waterstone and Ferguson. I got a lot of streets and stuff, but I believe it's that one. I know that one's very bad. That is due for repair. That's already been approved. That should be going through, and those roads are coming up and should be coming before us very soon. Road construction is due to start in August. The pipe construction is due to be complete sometime in July. I don't know the exact date, but looking good to get into those year 2 and get some of those units rolling. We took $50 million out for the first draw. So there will be $20 million to go into year 2. Mm-hmm. So it's looking very good. If we can complete that for $30 million and have to only do $100 million, $120 million out of this whole thing, you're looking at saving the taxpayers $50-60 million. And then that's when the new council, and we'll talk about that later, will have what they need to decide on whether they want to work on sidewalks or stuff like that, or they just want to give this money back, and see kind of what kind of tax bracket situation they're in, what kind of financing situation they're in, whether they just want to turn over the bond. Because, and a lot of people don't like sidewalk talk. They were very adamant about not putting sidewalks in. But then we had people that were adamant about putting sidewalks in, really wanted sidewalks in down Cogan. They were very upset that their kids had to walk in flooded plains. So you get both sides, and that is kind of this job. You get the happy and the sad. So there are people that do want sidewalks, and this may be a way to do it if you already have the financing and you've already saved the money. And those taxpayers have already paid their taxes. So a lot of places do have sidewalks, some don't. But that'll be a conversation for the future council.
Okay. So that's where we are with roads. Okay. Aquatic center. I see this question a lot on social media. What is going on with it? Why we're not repairing it? All those questions. Talk to me.
Absolutely. The repair was approved, I believe, last meeting. Pretty sure it was last meeting. We have meetings like every week now. So it wasn't the solid waste one or the emergency thing. It was the one before that one. And it is going forward. We're giving them the notice to proceed, and they're going to start the work on it. It's a very national company, and we actually have the pool company coming in it's a weird design. It's a Murtha pool. They dig a hole, and then they put in this stainless steel structure, and it's just not really the ideal way to do it. Had I been the contractor, it wouldn't have been the way it happened. It would have just been the concrete Olympic style pool that you and I and everybody is used to. But we got it before I was there, so we're just trying to fix the problem. A ton of people use it. I hear the good and the bad with this issue as well. Don't waste money on it. But in Palm Bay, you have 118,000 people. Some of those people can't afford to go to other cities to learn to swim. Some of those people have been here for years and used that facility. My son swam there when he was on the swim team for Bethany Christian, so I know how valuable it is for the residents.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to roads here for a second because I have an incoming question from the audience on the Parkway. Where are we at with that?
So the Parkway is approved. I believe the bids are being opened Tuesday. We approved the money through TIF financing, transportation impact fees, and we are still going after community asphalt for the delays. I think it was somewhere around $158,000 they owe us. So a lot of that end thing and the new cost for the contractor to go out there and finish will come from them. But they're currently, if you drive down there now, the light poles are up. I believe 3 or 4 of them are up. There might be 4 or 4 now. The rain has kind of hampered FP&L into hanging the lights and getting the signals. So once we get that, once we open the bids, they'll be issued a notice to proceed. And we really want the foot on the gas pedal and get this thing open. One of the things we've done to make up is accelerate the left-hand turn lane off of Babcock, as opposed to the southbound lane stopping to make the left-hand turn. There will be a left-hand turn added. It'll be about a year early, but it'll be needed. So that's important.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So we talk about the Parkway. So now let's get on to some really serious issues. The reason why we're really here tonight. What is your primary reason for not running for election? What do you say that would be?
So I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with the advice I would give to anybody that wants to do this job. For me personally, if you're not in it 100%, you shouldn't be in it at all. I sit on the MPO, I sit on the TPO, I sit on the TDC, and also the council, the Bayfront Community Development Association or agency, excuse me. So the amount of meetings that I have, the amount of work that I have to put into my part-time job is incredible. But I feel that if you are a council member, this is what you need to do. For example, the TPO, the Transportation Planning Organization, that's where we get all our funding for roads. If you don't attend those meetings, yeah, we're the biggest city, but we don't have the airport. We don't have the spaceport. We don't have the port. We don't have those things. So for us to make a case for roads, you really have to be there and you really have to sell yourself. So you have to, I missed one meeting in my tenure at the TPO, and I believe I've been on there 3 years, maybe 4 as an alternate. I believe I was an alternate the first year, and I made every meeting they called me for there. I missed one meeting, and it was the meeting I was in Tallahassee for the audit. So I take my role as a councilman very seriously. I believe you're well aware, most of the events the city hosts or puts on, I'm there. Most of the outreach stuff that Bacasca does or outside organizations, I'm there. Most of the ribbons cuttings that the chamber does, I'm there. I came home the other day and my daughter just looked at me and, you know, Daddy, do you have another meeting? I'm done with meetings. There's a ton of meetings and doing it virtually the last couple of months, it's really not my cup of tea. It's not something I like. I like to play off people, and that's not a bad thing, but I like to see their reactions. I like to see how they handle the conversation. If you're talking about a $50 million project and the guy's not paying any kind of attention, you can really get a read for where it's going and whether you're doing yourself justice or not. I had just completed my first year of seminary school. That was incredible. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't make mistakes or I had the perfect tenure in council or I'm some person that could have ran and won easily. And if you're going to win or if you're going to run, you should run to win. And if I was going to run, I believe that I could win because I think I bring the best ideas to the table when I do. And I think the 4 years, the stuff that we have accomplished is the stuff that I set out to accomplish. And I'm happy with that. And I really owe it to my family to make sure that I'm there for them. I have given myself to the city and I have done what the residents asked me to do or what I thought the residents were asking me to do. The big noise was roads. And we accomplished that.
Yes.
If you look at some of the other benchmarks as far as the city, the tax rate has gone down every year since I've been here. The millage has climbed down. It'll still climb down, and that's an intention of mine. But the savings have gone up, the investments have gone up, the liabilities have gone down. So all the benchmark things you would look at are going in the right direction. There's stuff people don't like about me. It's always a 50-50 thing. You're never going to be perfect. You want to get into legal questions and all that stuff. I'll just tell anybody that's commenting on that or, hey, I want Brian to answer this, that, or the other. I don't comment on ongoing legal matters. I don't comment on situations that aren't done. All that stuff will be done in due time. Any of the stuff that people are reading is far from over.
Okay. All right, Brian. So with that said, what do you think your greatest achievement was? And I think
you know, obviously, if you don't go roads, I don't know what else you could go with.
Right.
Go with the sustainability board, or you could go with helping residents. The biggest thing for me as a council person was you would answer the phone and people would be shocked that you answered the phone. And they always thought it was a secretary. They never thought it was me. And then when I would show up at their house, it would be even more floored as to why I was there. And believe you me, it wasn't in this suit because normally it was after work. I helped a lady somewhere off of Glendale. She had a problem with her bushes, and she actually went to the head of code enforcement and the former city manager, and they just couldn't help her. I don't know if they didn't want to or they were annoyed by the situation, but tons of emails had went back and forth. So it was either Saturday or Friday. I went over there with my clippers, got everything clipped back, and it was a ton of bushes. It took me 2 days to do it. But what you get out of that person and them knowing that you care, is you can't replace that. And I've had people stop me and tell me how good of a job I've done, and that the good outweighs the bad, and that they see the progression. So the weirdest call I've ever gotten, and this will tell you what kind of councilman I was there was a dead pig on the side of the road. And this went from a great gentleman, Bob Chadwick, who he cleans up Minton Road out here. You'll see him sometimes, older gentleman. There was a pig on the side of the road, and they had called the fire department. They wouldn't pick it up. They had called Public Works. They wouldn't pick it up. So they called me to pick it up. So, and I had to tell my wife this story because I took her car to go get the pig. I grabbed the trash bag and a shovel, and I went to go get the pig off the road. And the pig was gone. I drove up and down Wyoming, and the pig's gone. So Bob had emailed me back, and thank you so much. I don't know anybody that would have got the pig. And I emailed Bob back, and I said, I'd love to take credit for this, but it wasn't me. And he sent something back that, well, somebody must have had a good barbecue. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Great story. All right. So for those who are currently looking to get into office, what advice would you give them?
So, I mean, there's two ways you can do it. You can get in there and you can raise heck and you can shake things up, or you can try to work with people. My one thing has always been, if it's just you all by yourself on an island, that's not really the job. The job is to try to get your initiatives through to help the city. So you kind of got to not coax people, but negotiate them into being on your side. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort. The budgets we deal with, the staff we deal with, the offshoots of our job and knowing how to do our job is you have to know every other job. So you might not have to be a subject expert in public works, but if you're approving a $3 million thing, you should know what you're doing and why you're doing it. You might not need to know about the waste plant, but that's a $150 million plant you're approving with the state revolving fund loan, and you need to know how and why you're going to pay that back and why you need that. And you have to have the ability to see beyond the right now decision. The one thing that I've told everybody is a lot of the stuff that passed council is stuff that my predecessors worked on, but we'll get the credit for. So, for example, the first project I had ever approved was the Circle K on Malabar and Jupiter right over here. The one they didn't flip it, but they moved it and put a car wash, moved it back, changed the gas pumps. That was 4 years ago I approved that, and it just opened now. So, and then on the TPO side of things, the average road, once you start talking about it, it's 5 to 8 years before anything even happens with it. So a lot of what you do here, you never get to see. And it kind of, I mean, without a better term, it sucks to be the people before you that don't get the credit. And those are really the ones that lay the foundation for you. So you really shouldn't forget who came before you. But on a caveat, you have to have some ideas and you have to bring them to the table. I remember the meeting where we brought up the $150 million bond, and Councilman Holton looked at me and said, "Can you even take out that amount of money?" We're going to find out. So, and you know, a lot of the talk was you guys are wasting your time.
Right. It's not. We got pushed out the door a lot of times. It's not going to happen.
A lot of times, and even still today.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of the stuff we had talked about and the way we wanted this bond to work, and a lot of the things the council had voted against, ultimately at the end of the day, there's going to be probably a big pile of money left over and a lot of drainage projects that need to get done. So when they went and tried to twist everything, there was a way to do it. And in fact, council voted today. I voted nay on it, on the fee versus the assessment. So you might have gotten rid of the assessment through the vote, but now you'll get the fee. When we had talked about when passing this road bond, Public Works need to have that in their budget, wrapped into their budget. And that was my conversation with the city manager about why I was going to vote no on the fee, was that should always be part of their budget. And my reasoning to the public and the way I like to speak to the public is just as plain as can be. I'm a construction worker. I just try to be. You don't have a separate budget for your lawn care. I mean, that's got to be part of your house budget. So how are we going to have a separate funded budget for canals? It just doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. That should be part of their budget. So I voted no on it tonight, and it'll come back in July, and then they're going to ask us to set a rate, and my stance will be the same then. That should be part of their budget. So it'll be a fun battle.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go up here. I saw a good question posed by one of our, Carmen, I'm looking for your question. Let's see if I found it really fast. And there it is. And so Carmen had asked, with the hurricane season in full swing, is Public Works Utilities doing anything to speed up the maintenance of drainage easements in front of people's homes? My street, according to neighbors, hasn't been cleared in almost 9 years. What do you say to Carmen?
So it's a great question, and it's something I deal with even when it's not storm season, and that's one of the things that actually got me out to neighbors is them calling about their easements not being cleared. This particular hurricane season, already 3 named storms, absolutely incredible. It looks to be very active. So I would hope, and I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you something that I don't know, that they are proactive in this, as I know the mayor has commented on this, and the city manager is well aware of hurricane season is coming. One of the things that I would suggest to do to anybody that has this problem, and it has always worked, and it's a shame, this is one of the things I hate about being a councilman, is when a councilman sends an address, it gets done. But when a resident sends an address, it doesn't get done. And I have the same issues with waste management. When somebody sends me their address, their trash doesn't get picked up, they go pick it up right away. That shouldn't take me doing that.
Exactly.
So if he would send me the address, I would definitely get it taken care of. And it shouldn't take that. It really shouldn't. There's a lot of catch up, but we're really getting beyond that point, and that excuse is kind of old. So whoever the new council is, and this council too, the onus is on them to say it's a failure of leadership to get those things done. Because one of the reasons that I went initially with the assessment is the roads were falling in, literally caving in. There were more than one road. It wasn't a freak accident. They were caving in all over different parts of the city. So you could really tell that the infrastructure needed to be addressed. And again, we have went over this time and time again with the road bond. It was a $60 million project, $60 million to fix all those pipes and do the maintenance Carmen's referring to here. And we got 30 million of it, and we could have done the other 30 million right now today with the road bond, and it would have been taken care of. But council went a different direction. So here we are, and you're going to hear a lot of those excuses that it's a big city, but that's a big department with a big budget. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I see a lot of people dropping off, so I'm going to make this announcement. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing one-on-one interviews with candidates running for office. So far, I have lined up interviews with Janice Cripps. I've lined up interviews with Thomas Tom Guam, and others. Majority of the candidates running for mayors, I've lined up interviews with them. So we'll be doing one-on-one interviews on this platform. And so feel free to send me your questions, or you can watch the live and send me your questions via the feed just like this. And now, we'll post them and have the candidates answer them as we go through the interviews. So those are coming up, and I will let you know the dates. So go to Palm Bay Live, facebook.com, Palm Bay Live, or go to palmbaylive.com and to find out when the interview dates are so you can tune in. Brian, what is an initiative that you think you want to accomplish before you leave office?
Yeah, it's kind of an open-ended question. There's a ton of stuff I would have liked to have done. There's a super exciting thing. Hopefully that is coming out very soon. Hopefully I'll still be in office for it. I found out about it in February. And it blew me away when I had heard it. And it was kind of everything I've talked about, like as far as checking the list off, this was the last big thing. So if we can do this, and it's private money, it's all private money. It's a huge endeavor. It'll reshape the community. It'll reshape the city. It will literally put a big star on the map for Palm Bay. It is that, I think, innovative. I think it's a taste of Tampa, a taste of Orlando, a taste of Miami, but just enough to where it fits in Palm Bay perfect. It's gonna blow people away when it comes. The work has already started out there, so as soon as we can unleash this thing, I'm very super excited.
Friends, Brian, what's the details?
It's I mean, we can talk privately about it. It's not my project to do the ribbon cutting on, but boy, am I a fan.
Okay, all right, all right. Is there any more questions for Brian?
I did want to tell all the candidates, you had mentioned some candidates are going to come on this show, and I know the other council people feel the same way. It takes a lot of courage to run for this seat, and it's a lot of hard work to run for any seat, any homeowners association, anything.
Right.
And most of the people do it for the right reasons. About 99.9% do it for the right reasons. So my hat's off to them. It's a tough road. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but if you need any advice, the people that were in these seats will give you. That's the one thing I think was always good, is people before you would give you the advice that they thought, and you would take it or not take it. But they've always been open arms because they know how difficult and how stressful and how much time the council thing takes up.
Okay. All right. If there's no more questions for Brian, I just want to personally, on a personal note, thank him for everything that he has done for our city. I know it has been a big challenge with family life, and I know that has eaten into you know, your activities with the city has eaten into the family life aspect of things. So I personally want to thank you for everything that you have done. I know it's a hard job, and I know you know, a lot of things got thrown your way along the way. And on a personal note, I continuously pray for your family, and just know that. And I think I told you that personally on the personal side. So yeah, so I have tons of respect for you, because you took the bricks and they threw it at you, but you stand tall and you're still there, and you did what you had to do. So bless you for that. So if there's no more questions, I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, we have one-on-one interviews coming up, and we also planning to do live debates in the month of July with the candidates as well. And so that is all in the works. So those things are coming up, and please look out for that. Please continue to monitor the Facebook group page and my Facebook page and the website palmbaylive.com, and to get insights on when those activities will be going down. So currently we're looking for moderators to help us with the moderating of the interviews and the debates. So if you want to volunteer for that, send in your information to palmbaylive@gmail.com. I'll review it and go from there. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Brian, and thank you everyone for watching. You guys have a blessed night.
Just one last thing, Kevin, and I think it's important because you really proved it. If you don't get involved, you can't make a difference. You really sold that road bond. I know you had signs, you had a pack, you did a lot of work. So you're the shining example of what getting involved does, how that changes the shape of the city, the future of the city. So I would encourage people to get involved. You have to get involved. I know this is a completely different time, coronavirus, riots, unjust killings, things of that nature, but stay involved. The local stuff that happens at that city council affects you.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that is it. You have to stay involved, and that's what I did. I mean, I had tons of folks that came my way and said run for council, but you know, my wife wouldn't have it that way. So so I had to, you know, I took the lesser route, and I said, you know what, I can still stay involved if I do something like this. And so this is the idea that I came up with, and this is where we're at. You know, so this is going to be a nonprofit initiative. I'm planning on it. I have applied for a 501c with IRS, so that's pending. And once we go down that rabbit hole and we get approved, then we can take it to the next milestones and the next milestone. So we're going to try to do big things here in Palm Bay, and I hope you guys please ride along with me, support me, and on this endeavor, and please just go ahead and continue to monitor the feeds, PalmBayLive.com, Facebook.com/PalmBayLive. We also developing a YouTube channel, and that's what you're going to see on the website when you log on to it. So this interview will be made public tomorrow morning on the website as well. So all those things are in the works. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, guys. Have a good night. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Live.
Thank you.